Call the meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, May 16th. This is the Public Health and Safety Committee. Hopefully you've had a chance to review the agenda. I'm going to leave the first two off of the consent agenda because I'd like to have our Mayor's Office of Community Safety speak to those briefly. So I'll start a consent agenda with items 3 through 9. Let me know if anything needs to come off. All right. RS 2023-2071, Roten, Syracuse, and Saguaro approves an emergency management performance grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metropolitan Office of Emergency Management to subsidize the emergency management program. RS 2023-2172, Roten and Syracuse approves a letter of acceptance for 2023 Urban Area Security Initiative grant funds by the Metropolitan Office of Emergency Management to the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency for Homeland Security District 5. RS 2023-2173, Roten and Syracuse approves a letter of acceptance for 2023 Homeland Security grant funds by the Metro Office of Emergency Management to the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency for Homeland Security District 5. 2023, RS 2023-2174, Roten and Syracuse approves a contract between the Metro Board of Health and the Tennessee Department of Health to identify Ebola and assist in the prevention and control of vector-borne diseases in Tennessee. RS 2023-2175, Roten, Syracuse, and Saguaro approves Amendment 1 and 2 to a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the Metro Board of Health to provide for the prevention, surveillance, diagnosis, and treatment of HIV/AIDS and to administer a minority AIDS initiative program. RS 2023-2176, Roten, Syracuse, and Hancock approves Amendment 7 to a grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the Metro Board of Health, for the ongoing collection of data on ambient air concentrations for fine particulate matter in Nashville, Tennessee.
Move approval.
Oh, wait a second. RS 2023-2187, Councilmember Evans urges the Mayor's Office, the Metro Health Department, Metro Homeless Impact Division, and Metro Social Services to evaluate housing pods purchased with COVID-19 epidemiology and laboratory capacity grant funds and create an action plan for their use.
So maybe can we move to 2187 so we can talk about that for a moment if they have some commentary on it?
So you want to keep 2187 off of a consent?
Yep.
All right. Anything else need to come off of a consent? All right, so we'll take 2187 separately. So of the other 6, any other needs to come off of the consent? All right. Can I get a motion on those 6?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? All right, very good. Those 6 pass on consent. Thank you very much. Let's go back to RS 2023-2164, Roten, Syracuse, Saguaro, and Hurt. Appropriates $137,000 from a certain account of the Community Safety Fund for a grant to the Contributor Inc. Can I get a motion?
Second.
All right, so we have Mike and Brianna here from our Mayor's Office of Community Safety. Just want you guys to speak to this a little bit, if you would.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
This is a grant which is deepening a partnership with an important community organization, Contributor. This came about because the organizations that are funded through the Community Safety Partnership Fund, known collectively as the Village, have identified a need for the dissemination of the services that they do effectively to community members who may not have access to the internet or to other ways that you can make known about them. And we looked at different ways of supporting this, including direct marketing from them. The most cost-efficient way to do that, we found, with taxpayer dollar, was to find the people that are already creating those pamphlets and understand what would increase their operational capacity to get more information out to the people living in the streets or who are facing challenges that really impact many Nashvillians. And that is called Where to Turn in Nashville. We're also looking to have a footprint on the web for those who are web-enabled to find those services. So we see it as both tied to the mission of community safety, enhancing this resource that already exists, more distribution ability for these community organizations that need to get the word out about themselves.
Thank you very much. I wanted these 2 resolutions taken off of consent. I really want to help highlight the extraordinary work that I think Ron and Mike and Brianna are doing. It's excellent work. Any questions, comments or Mike, or Brianna? Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick comment. I just want to thank you for the work that you do. I often use Where to Turn in Nashville. I've been on the digital version. If I come across a person that's unhoused and is looking for resources, and it's been really vital to be able to share their information. So I just wanted to thank you for what you do.
Of course, and we hope to make the website even prettier than it currently is. It's a little bare bones.
It is a little bare bones. I wasn't gonna say that, but thank you. It still works. It's still functional. Thanks.
Careful, we're going to get you to do that for all of Nashville.gov. All right, any other questions? Yes, sir.
How did you derive the number 137?
We looked at them and tried to figure out what would they need for a full-time staff person to connect with the community and to build this up. And
Oh, so this is paying for a full-time or an FTE?
that if there's a full-time staff person, the printing of, I believe, 35,000 copies and web development.
I got you. Thanks.
Director Calvin, did you want to add anything to that, or?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that. I did have a couple
Sure.
of questions about how is it going to expand the overall capacity from prior years. So excited to hear that there will be a dedicated staff to that. And then printing more copies. Typically, agencies will, purchase those copies, and hopefully the 35 copies, will it allow for agencies to receive them for free or?
35,000.
I'm sorry, 35,000. I had 35K here.
Add a few
But
zeros.
receiving them for free, which will be a huge asset to the community. So,
Great.
and I'll work with Kathy. I guess I just want to make sure that, I'll work with Kathy on distribution plan.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, sir.
There's been a lot of work to kind of create that central database where we can kind of track those in need and see what services they're getting, so they're not duplicating a lot of efforts and being most efficient. How's that coming? And I suspect this plays to that a little bit, in that you're providing, here's all the service providers, and then the service providers are inputting some of this information.
So that's our homeless management information systems. We call it HMIS. So that tool is up and running. A vendor that we use there is WellSkies. So I'm not sure if the vendor that they're going to use for this tool, but they do have a feature that they can utilize as well through WellSkies. Hopefully that could tie the two together. And it's also, they have an app. So I can work with Kathy on that. I'm not sure if a vendor has been chosen for Where to Turn for Help Guide, but the vendor that we use for HMIS, it's a very robust database, and because of COVID CARES dollars and a lot of outreach in our community, I think we're pretty close to bringing on our largest non-funded agency, and I think our data would be really comprehensive at that point.
Good. There's a lot of great work being done by a lot of silos, I think, sometimes, and I'm hoping this will help.
I appreciate that.
really make that.
I appreciate that. I will work with Kathy to check on the vendor that they're utilizing, and if there's a way that they can use WellSkies, which is the vendor that we have right now, there's an app that they can turn on as well, with a lot of geofencing for resources and services as well.
Super.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Thank you again.
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Thank you so much. It passes. On to RS 2023-2165, Road in Syracuse and Hurd. Appropriates $169,000 from a certain account of the Community Safety Fund for grants to various nonprofit organizations for South Nashville community safety programs. Can I get a motion?
Seconded.
All right. Yes.
What are the various nonprofits? Do we have a list of those?
Good cue.
Do I know? I think the perfect segue. There are 4 groups inside of this resolution. One is the Fine Design, which programs with young girls, middle school age girls. Another is Water Walkers, which programs with all of these groups program in the South Nashville area. It's a part of an area-specific grant meant to empower the groups that are doing the groundwork to keep these communities safe. And so there's Water Walkers, the Fine Design, You Have the Power, Know How to Use It, and Youth Encouragement Services.
And how are they're like going through the school system to reach these children?
Only one of them programs with MNPS. None of them actually program on their own grounds. But many of them have relationships with MNPD. Some even work with the students who are on IEPs. But each of these 4 groups have their own facilities where they program with the children.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question for legal. My daughter went through the Fine Design program. Do I need to abstain on this?
It's probably best if you do, just,
Okay.
you know,
So
here.
Err on the side of.
Any other questions?
Do you recommend the program?
I love it. I love it. They were right in District 29, and they did a lot of community work with young ladies in our community. It was a phenomenal program.
No point in standing now.
Oh. My bad, I answered his question.
It's a good answer, it's important.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
I just want to thank you all for the work that you're doing in getting this South Nashville pilot out and going. I know there's been a lot of moving pieces with the various pilots for cure violence and other things that we have going on. So I think this is great, and just wanted to comment and say thank you.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? And one abstention.
All right, very good.
Thank you all. Excellent work. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And finally, RS 2023-2187, Councilmember Rhodes, urges the Mayor's Office, the Metro Health Department, Metro Homeless Impact Division, and Metro Social Services to evaluate housing pods purchased with COVID-19 epidemiology and laboratory capacity grant funds and create an action plan for their use. Can I get a motion?
Seconded.
All right. Councilmember.
Thank you. Let me give you a little backstory. So I think we've all been asked about the pods over time, with COVID funds. And so I decided to go down the rabbit hole around the pods. And so I got the copy of the grant guidance from OEM, and then I set up time with Jim Diamond at Nashville Health to review kind of his process and experience on the grant and the procurement. And then they in turn went to the state and came back with permission that we could use the pods outside of COVID, as long as we abide by COVID sheltering policy. And so this is really just a, hey, can we explore this and look and see if it's viable? It may not be viable, but that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Councilmember.
Thanks.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
No, I was about to recognize.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have had a lot of discussion about the pods, like what are we doing with the pods, but I wanted to ask you because I know that there was an issue with the approval from fire or the codes, the state fire thing, because they are built outside of the state, ready, done, and so you can't inspect them because it's already put together. Have y'all found, so at that point they're sort of useless if we can't get approval because they're not going to be able to be inhabited. So have we found a workaround that, or is that still an issue?
I can find out about that, but yeah, it's a good question. I mean, there is some issue there.
Yeah.
That's a major question.
Yeah, and I guess I would agree that is a concern I have also heard. And so I'm willing to defer this. I'll make a motion to defer this for one meeting so we can get that information.
Can we add to that? I'm sorry. Can we add to it if we can't use it because they're not, whatever? Then what do we do with them? We don't need to hold on to them. Can we sell them back to who? Or is there a refund policy? Or I mean, there's a lot of them, and I know they're taking up space. It's like they're totally useless. We need to figure something out. That's a waste of money.
Yeah.
So can we amend it to add that? That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
So on the motion to defer, I guess.
I'll ask the question after.
Go ahead.
It's not a deferral.
All right. Do we have a yes?
I think mine is on the deferral.
Okay.
So this is to create an action plan for their use. So if it's not usable, then
That's what I'm saying. Amend it to say,
Yeah.
okay, well then now what? What do
Okay.
what do we want to do with them?
okay.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just wanted to make
agreeable
sure.
to that. Yeah.
The discussion's on the motion to defer one meeting, right? Yes. All right. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. All right. Meeting deferred one meeting. BL 2023-1857, Councilmember Rosenberg, amend section 10.68.020 of the Metro Code relative to fireworks. Councilmember.
Second.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, now Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think most folks in the room are aware that currently the use and sale of fireworks is prohibited within Davidson County. So I'm going to talk about what the bill as amended would do. It would not change the prohibition on the sale of fireworks ever. It would not change the prohibition on the use of fireworks 364 and a half days out of the year. All it would say is that you're allowed to use them safely between noon and 10:30 p.m. on the 4th of July. So the situation that we have right now is that everybody's shooting off fireworks. I mean, you go to any neighborhood or go downtown and watch them, you see them all in the background. The fireworks are going off everywhere. So everybody in Davidson County falls into one of two groups. Either they don't know that it's illegal or they don't care that it's illegal. Everybody, and a surprising number of people don't know that it's illegal. So this allows the use on the 4th of July, and it sets these guidelines. The first question is anybody going to follow the guidelines? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. The news organizations I've talked to are inclined to publicize these types of things, so maybe some folks do, but even if they don't, we're no worse off than we are today. So my hope is to limit the glut of 911 calls that are coming in that police and fire cannot possibly respond to. When people call on the 4th of July, I got an email today, they're told, sorry, we're not gonna enforce it. We can't do it. So that's the situation we are. So this codifies that within certain limits, hopefully frees them up to deal with actual emergencies between those hours, and then sets the hard cutoff of 10:30 where they can go about their enforcement as possible, which I think will still not be possible, but hopefully some folks move to those early hours. But this is just taking the common practice and saying it's legal within these certain conditions. In an ideal world, when people are doing them unsafely, there's now police capacity for it. So I would like to move the amendment, please.
Second.
All right, and I'm sorry, the amendment just, the original bill said the 3rd, 4th, and 5th until 11 p.m. This changes it to the 4th of July only until 10:30 p.m.
Any discussion or questions on the amendment? Yes, sir.
Well, the amendment just changes the dates, right?
Yeah, dates and times.
So it's not on the amendment. Be on the bill as amended.
Sure. Any other discussion or questions on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? We adopt the amendment. Councilmember, on your bill as amended.
All of what I just said.
Okay, yeah. Now, Councilmember, all right.
It was a pre-explanation. It was
Yeah.
very good.
Explanation.
I just had one brief question. The police department's not here, and I'd kind of defer to Councilmember Nash from his experience, but to Councilmember Rosenberg's point, I get all that. I have just one brief question, and that is the only response that the police really told me that they did relative to fireworks were when they had fireworks that were maybe going off from a yard into the street, and it created a big issue in the public right of way. They would respond to that. And my question is, does this inhibit their ability in any way to do that?
That would remain illegal.
So that's included in the bill, not to have it in the public right of way.
It says it in there, you can't do it in the right of way. It has to be on your,
Yeah, yours
Yeah.
doesn't affect the right of way, does it?
Correct. It's on your own
Yeah.
property.
And
Or
when I
on somebody
heard
else's
what they were
property
doing-
when they're present in consent.
And the issue with Nashville is the lots are so small, so they can shoot them off in the lots and end up in the right of way and end up in the street. And that's, with that, your bill wouldn't make that legal, would it?
Please hold.
Maybe Dr. Darby, do you want to weigh in on that? Is that?
I believe that it is limited to the property on which the fireworks are being utilized.
So if if like in my district, for example, there's small lots, you can't contain fireworks in small lots. So if they shoot it from the small lots and they get it in the right of way and it becomes an issue big enough for it to be a public safety hazard, would that still be illegal, or would we be changing the legality or something like that?
I'm not a fireworks expert, but I've seen fireworks before, and usually they're supposed to be shot straight into the sky, as far as I'm aware. And so if you're talking about the explosive components coming over into
Well,
the street,
dangerously
usually they're
executed, maybe
veering
a
out.
little tilt instead of a
And
straight
sometimes
up.
they're-
And
Yeah, I
appreciate
mean,
the
I think
sponsor
if
not
it's
just
a
flipping
safety
the
issue, it's a
answer.
safety
Yeah.
issue in the public
I
right of way.
appreciate that very much. So, well, you're the chair, I'm sorry.
No, are you?
So I guess I haven't got an answer to my question, but people are looking at it.
I can read a few parts of the bill if it's helpful.
Yeah, is that,
Some of the conditions, no, it's not the amendment, it's in the
this
original
is
bill.
just the amendment, okay.
Yeah, so it makes it illegal to shoot fireworks near any person or group of persons or into a motor vehicle. There's also an age requirement. contain the fireworks and debris on the user's property, to collect and properly dispose of debris from the fireworks immediately upon termination of the use, explosion, igniting, or discharge.
What you just said about contain on the property, does that mean to you
Every
that my
reasonable effort.
scenario would be, if they're shooting them in the street?
If they were intentionally angling them into the street, I would say that's not a reasonable effort to contain it on the property. But, depending on how high
It needs
they
to
go
be a
and what-
reasonable effort to contain, okay, gotcha. And that's a change from the original bill?
No, that's the original.
No, that's-
That is, no, I'm talking about
Not the original code, the
that's a change from the ordinance that we are
Yes.
recreating. Okay.
Councilman.
Thanks. I had a couple things. I wanted to ask the fire department what you guys think. I mean, I don't know necessarily that it's gonna reduce the number of 911 calls. If we've got a bunch of people that don't know that it's illegal or that it is illegal or they don't care, people in the neighborhood are gonna call 911. I think that's not necessarily gonna be a solution there, but I did wanna hear, because the police is one thing, but fire is who I would assume would possibly be I guess the police could, but what are your thoughts?
The police, yeah, I think that most of y'all probably received a response from Chief Swan through Joseph Pleasant. Our concern is the increase in calls, medical calls, the injuries that are caused, and the fires, and the density of the city. And not even in the inner city anymore, the density in the outline area where you can hardly get a lawnmower between houses, and one bottle rocket land on a tall and skinny, we're gonna be burning 3 of them. That's our concern, is increasing call volume. And could this lead, I know Councilman Rosenberg read that we would not sell them in the county, but would this maybe eventually lead to selling them? We don't have the staff to inspect the tents. Right now, I know everybody, if you drive the county line of Davidson County, there's a fireworks stand at every exit out of this county during these time periods, and we're against it.
So, my concern about it would be, it's gonna increase the use of it. I would assume that would be what would happen. And I know when I get calls, or when I see on social media every 4th of July or New Year's Eve or whenever people pop fireworks, it's people that have PTSD, it's people that have animals that are freaking out. It's just a noise issue, just they're irritated with it, whatever it is. It's never about, hey, that's illegal and they shouldn't be doing that. This is scaring me, scaring my pets, keeping me awake, what's the problem? So I don't wanna cause any more of a nuisance, so I'm gonna be against it.
Yeah, thank you. I would make 2 points. Number one, this has nothing to do with the sale, and I don't see this council ever legalizing the sale. The second thing is, any suggestion about increasing costs or fires is making the suggestion that people are going to shoot, that people care that it's illegal now or no, and are going to shoot off a lot more fireworks. People down the street pool thousands of dollars to do a fireworks show in their backyard, and that happens all over the place. Nobody cares. So I think that the impacts that, I appreciate the fire department's concerns, but I don't think that they're applicable to this piece of legislation.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question about, I guess, the intent. And it sounds like the intent for this, because fireworks are illegal in many big cities, and I'm wondering if you have any data or information about fireworks being legal in a comparable size city and the impact that has made on that city. But in addition to that, with the intent of trying to reduce the, I guess, number of calls to the police department, which we don't know if they'll happen or not. I mean, I have a pet that is just traumatized every year on the 4th of July. We try to give her a tranquilizer. I mean, there's nothing we can do. People are going to shoot off fireworks. It happens every year. And so the idea that we will make it legal, I just don't understand how that's going to improve quality of life in any way. So if you can add any, I don't know, something that I'm not thinking about that you may be aware of.
Sure. I mean, if you accept the suggestion that people are shooting off the fireworks now, and I've got a dog who flips out too, then the opportunities are either reducing 911 calls as word of this gets around and people are educated that they don't need to call 911 for it, and the idea that hopefully people try to pack it in before 10:30, not a significant number of people, but some number of people. The idea that that police are freed up to do other things to the extent that they are compelled to go answer calls during the period and fire. And just the simple notion that if something is generally accepted by society as being legal with a wink and a nod, keeping it illegal can only lead to selective enforcement or just being there and people being frustrated that I gotta, just do your damn jobs email today about the fact that we're not enforcing the fireworks ordinance. And I think it decreases trust and respect for the ordinances in general when we just blow some of them off.
Have you heard from MNPD?
I first brought this to MNPD before last 4th of July, and I ran out of time. But between then and when I alerted them this time, they didn't have any they didn't say they were for it. They didn't have any specific objections.
Would you consider a deferral of this until we can get MNPD to answer some of these questions that we have?
Yeah, I don't want to defer. What I don't want is to do a bunch of deferrals because people are against it. Like if it goes down, and not add it to the backlog that we're going to have at the end of the term. But if you think that's going to be helpful for next,
one meeting is enough time to get. I just want to be clear before, because quality of life is an important issue, and these fireworks, although they are beautiful, and I like fireworks on the 4th of July, but they do impact a lot of people's quality of life, and so before we do something that would open up the door for more, I just want to have a clear understanding.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Chair, you had Councilman Porter?
Is that a motion?
You had your.
Yes.
Motion to defer?
So you're moving to defer one meeting, so do you want to speak to the deferral?
No,
To wait?
not on the
Okay,
deferral.
on the deferral for one meeting?
Yeah, is the motion been made?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to the deferral motion, and there's, I get a lot of what you're saying, that one little piece. So this deferral may help me clear that up. So,
Any other discussion, questions on the one meeting deferral? All in favor of a one meeting deferral?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? All right, so we have moved to recommend one meeting deferral as amended. All right, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Any other business before this committee? Otherwise, we stand adjourned. Thank you all.